being successful is making another dollar or buying another car or whatever. But mattering is, did you use your life to make anybody else's life better? Did you use your success to change the lives of people that need the help?
Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, the mind can achieve.
Welcome to the Dream Big and Think Different podcast, where we inspire, impact, and empower.
Progress is impossible if you always do things the way you have always done things.
It's time to dream big. Here's your host, Dr. Sachin Maskey.
All right, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Dream Big and Think Different podcast, where our mission is to inspire, impact, and empower millions of people. I'm a host, Dr. Sachin Maskey, and today we have a very special guest who is another dreamer and a billionaire, Jeff Hoffman. I'm very honored and lucky to have in our show. We are definitely about to learn a lot of things from Jeff today. It's my privilege and honor to have you in the show today. Welcome to the show, Jeff. How are you doing today?
Thank you for having me. And if I had to pick a title, dreamer would definitely be a good one to have. When I was a kid, I read the stories, right? The biography of Walt Disney, because he's all about dreams, and that was so inspiring to me. The power of dreams. So I'll take that title, my friend.
Thank you. So I would like to start with the bio of Jeff. I know this is going to be a long bio, but I think everyone should hear about Jeff, and definitely it'll be honored to introduce him. So let me start with the bio. So actually, before start a bio, I wanted to meet Jeff in person. One of the event I was part of in Malibu, California, and Jeff was one of the speakers. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to meet him, but today I'm meeting him with technology we have, Zoom and all that, Riverside. I'm able to meet him online, but going in the future, hopefully we can meet sometime. But let's start with the bio. So Jeff is an award-winning global entrepreneur, a proven CEO, worldwide motivation speaker, best-selling author, Hollywood film producer of Grammy Award-winning jazz album, and executive producer of Emmy Award-winning television show. He is an executive producer and the star in groundbreaking new TV series Going Public, a show where viewers worldwide can invest in startups that Jeff is mentoring on the year. In his career, he has been founder of multiple startups. He has been CEO of public and private company, and he has served as a senior executive in many capacities. Most importantly, the company we all know, he's been part of the startups like Priceline.com, Booking.com, Ubit.com, and many more. And I remember Jeff in other interview was talking about the airport that we use, the boarding pass, the kiosk system. He was the inventor of that kiosk system. Jeff is the chairman of Global Entrepreneurship Network. Jeff is also managing partner of Jeff Hoffman Advisory Services. Again, Jeff is a frequent keynote speaker, has been invited to speak in over 70 countries. He speaks on topics of innovation, entrepreneurship, business leadership, and is author of the book Scale: How to Guide Growing Your Business. Jeff is also a featured business expert in Fox News, Fox Business, CNN, Bloomberg News, ABC, list goes on. Jeff received a humanitarian award from Disney and Be Great as a lifetime achievement award from Los Angeles Tribune of his business and his philanthropic contribution. Outside the world of technology, Jeff has produced TV shows, has produced movies in Hollywood, has produced musical events, including concerts, tours, charity events with artists such like Elton John, Britney Spears, Boyz II Men, and others, serves on numerous charity and nonprofit board. Again, thank you very much, Jeff, for your presence today. It's an honor to be your presence, and we're definitely going to learn a lot of things. Thank you for your time.
Sure. Thanks for having me.
My first question for every person in this show, before the question, I just want to make sure I like your quote, what you have mentioned in one of your things. There is no same in life making money. The same is not using to help others. That that quote has taught me so much that I really admire and I get inspired every day by reading that quote. Again, let's start with the first question. So, who is Jeff Hoffman, and why he is in this world?
Okay. A super quick background, because I grew up in the United States in the Arizona desert with a single mom who had 4 kids and 3 jobs. So we never had anything growing up, but my mom didn't really focus on the wrong things. But I had this desire when I was a child, because I lived in my little desert town, to go see the world. And my, friends, when I would tell people that, they would laugh at me, right? Your mom doesn't have any money. You don't have any money. You're not going to go see the world. Just don't get a job. And I started to realize early on, that's the message most people get. Go to school, get an education, and get a job. As though just having a job and a salary is what life is all about. And even as a kid, I kept thinking there has to be more than that. But I will say that I did do what the world said. I went to school to get an engineering degree because people said, if you have an engineering degree, you can get an engineer's job and you'll have a good salary at a good company. So I did do that. But my friend, I did not have a good life. I didn't like my job. I just would look at the clock all day long, waiting for the day to end so I could get out of work. And no, because now I'm right out of college, 20-something years old. And I'm like, this can't be it. This cannot be what people do the whole rest of their lives. In fact, I hated my job so much that one day I was laughing because I was in traffic to get to the office, to the job I hate. Somebody cut in front of me and I honked my horn. And later I thought, wait, why were you honking? Why don't you let all the cars go in front of you, right? I'm honking so I can get to my job faster that I'd hate. That doesn't make any sense. So I did that. My corporate job, and again, we're not talking about right or wrong here. We're talking about DNA. I couldn't work in the big company environment. It didn't work for me, and I didn't want to sit in a cubicle every day. I wanted to go see the world. So I quit, and I had that one job for a couple of years. I quit, and I've been an entrepreneur, even though I never knew what that word meant. I've been doing my own thing ever since then.
Thank you. So I guess my question was like, why are you in this world? Why you believe that? What is your main purpose?
Oh no, that is really easy. But I didn't know this then, right? Because it turned out I was good at business, and even though we had our failures, our successes were much bigger. And I ran my own companies and was part of some great teams, and we made a bunch of money, which wasn't the goal. But at that point, I didn't know the answer to your question. And I was like, this can't really be it either. And I saw a sign one day that answers the question you just asked. The sign said, you may be successful, but do you matter? And I remember just standing there because I was like, what is the difference? And I realized that being successful is making another dollar or buying another car or whatever. But mattering is, did you use your life to make anybody else's life better? Did you use your success to change the lives of people that need the help? And that's when I realized I actually once felt bad about being successful. And I was like, if this is the whole reason we're on earth, to go do business deals and make money, it's pretty disappointing. And so that moment that I just told you about is when I realized what I was really put on this earth for, which was to work really hard and do well so that I could go help other people who can't help themselves. So the whole rest of my life, I dedicated the second half of my life to giving back by helping people who just need the help. They can't go do what I did. And I realized then that's what I was put on this earth to do. This part of my life is way more fun and way more fulfilling, and I'm not doing business deals. I don't have a company. I'm not a CEO. I'm not making any money. I'm just helping people get to a better life. And this feels like what I was literally put here to do.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you. And whatever you're doing, and you're being very, very inspiring to me. And I've heard you speaking a lot of events. And today my one of my dream was to interview a billionaire, and which you are, and I'm honored again to have you in my show. Thank you for sharing the story. Since you know the topic, we've been focusing on innovation, entrepreneurship, and the giving back. I think what I want to do is I want to go back to your childhood again and talk about more about how was your what was your childhood dream? Since we're talking about the dream.
So mine was never about money. Mine was about seeing the world.
Okay.
So that I could become a much more, I don't know, I don't ever use this word, but evolved human being. And so I wanted to, I'm in my little desert town, in my little bedroom. I would sit there at night, and my favorite thing I had in my room was a globe my mom got me.
Mm-hmm.
And I would spin the globe, and I would see all these other countries. And I was like, man, what are they doing tonight? What's going on? There's some boy my age in some house in Morocco, in Peru, in Jordan, right? Whatever. That's my age sitting in their room. What are they thinking? What are they doing? What do they care about? What's life like in their neighborhood, in their country? What are their dreams? And that fascinated me as a child. And so every time I'd look at the globe. And so my dream was to go see the world.
Mm-hmm.
And I literally gave myself a goal as a young boy. I said, my life will be a success if I am able to make friends, visit people in 50 different countries across my life, obviously, not in a short time. So during my lifetime, if at the end I could look back and say, I met families in 50 different countries, that would be a really cool life for me. Right? And that's kind of what we want everyone.
Wow.
Whatever your definition of an epic life, you need to know yours. And that was mine. That was my dream, is to be able to travel over my lifetime and look back and say, I've been in 50 different countries, and I made friends there and met family.
This was when you were about 6, 7 years old, correct?
No, a little closer to 10 by that point.
Over 10. Okay. And I like the what you said, that 50 countries and 50 families, and I mean, that's a big goal. And again, it started with all dream. And I'm glad you already achieved that goal. I believe you're more than 50 countries. I don't know whether you've ever been to Nepal, by the way.
I got to tell you something. 2 or 3 different times I had trips set up to Nepal, and each time something came up. So I've been
really?
to more than 100 countries, and I haven't been there yet. So I definitely need to make that happen. By the way, I did just give a talk to entrepreneurs in Nepal, but we did it virtually a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. Yeah, definitely let me know. I was born and raised in Nepal, so I will be honored to give you some recommendation for sure.
All right. We will talk about that, I promise.
Yeah, definitely. So I wanted to ask another question that I always wanted to ask dreamers like yourself, because we do a lot of entrepreneurs do a lot of great things, and what I want to know from entrepreneurs like yourself, who and what inspires you or drives you every day to be productive.
Sure. So here's a couple of things. My biggest inspiration along the way. My hero is not Steve Jobs or something like that, someone I didn't know. It's mom, for sure, because my little mom never stopped fighting to do the best she could for the people she cared about. If it took 3 jobs to get her kids closer to a school they had a better chance at, my mom would do that. So mother was a person of action. Quit talking about it, just do what you have to do. So she's always been a big inspiration to me, but what keeps me going now mostly is youth. I have my own youth charity called World Youth Horizons. And we work with kids all over the world. And when I sit down with kids, they still have optimism. They still believe. Children aren't born, for example, with racism. Someone teaches them that. So when you talk to young children, their heart is actually filled with love and acceptance, right? And dreams and the belief that things are possible. And so I give my energy when I work with young people. And the reason we work with young people is we want to get to them before the wrong part of the world gets to them. Before somebody said to me, why do you like working with kids so much? And I said, because they're just adults that the world hasn't ruined yet. So if we get
Yeah,
to while they're young, and again, like I said, their heart is full of love and their mind is full of possibilities, we can talk them into continuing to keep that positivity and energy and go out and try to change the world instead of just accepting it for the way it is. So
absolutely.
when I work with kids, I come back energized every time.
Absolutely, yeah, I totally 100% agree. Again, children's are the future,
Yep.
and I love what you're doing. I was actually listening to your video yesterday before I was going to bed about you talk about inspiring innovation in the Yale University, and I three things I learned, and I want to get back to that today. I think you talk about 5-year-old day,
Sure.
info sponging, and blue sky session. If you can talk a little bit more about those three things and to
Sure.
help our listener, what is that,
Absolutely. So it the 5-year-old thing came from a day that I was going to stay home from work and babysit a 5-year-old.
Hmm.
But I realized that I left some stuff at my office and had to go into the work. And I uh, told the 5-year-old, hey, I'm going to run to the office, get in the car. And we're walking to the house, and she's looking down. And I was like, go already. We were in a hurry. And she's shuffling her feet on the carpet. And she said, how do they make carpet? And I said, who cares? The car. She's like, well, I just wonder how they make carpet. And I was like, well, I don't wonder that. Just get in the car. And she's like, do you not know how to make carpet? I said, why would I know that? Why would I need to? I'm not in the carpet business. That's not what we do. And she was disappointed that I didn't care how carpet was made. We get out to the car, and she's knocking on the window, and she's like, how do they make glass? And I was like, oh my God, who cares how they make glass? Just get in the car. And she's like, well, I'm curious. I wonder how glass is made. And I said, well, I have no reason to know that. And she's disappointed in me that I don't wonder and that I don't care about the things that I don't know. And what I realized that day, and she did the same thing when we get to the office, she started asking questions about everything we do in the office. And I was getting really frustrated.
Hmm.
And when I finally got away from her, I was sitting there and I was upset. And I started realizing the real reason I'm upset is not because she asked all these questions. It's because I don't know the answer to anything. And I started thinking that 5-year-olds wonder about everything and question everything.
Hmm.
What's glass made of? Well, how do they make carpet, right? Why is the sky blue, right? All the questions that 5-year-olds ask, that when you're young, you're curious about everything. And then we get older, and we have a busy life, and we have a job, and we don't make glass in our company, so who cares how they make it? We don't make carpet, so who cares? And I realized that that's where we go wrong. That when I started studying some of my most successful friends and the people I look up to, like, for example, Steve Wozniak from Apple is a good friend of mine. And Woz and I had a long conversation the other day. And when I talk to people like Woz, right, or, a friend of mine, Nolan Bushnell, he's the guy who invented video gaming. His company was Atari.
Hmm.
When I sit and talk to Nolan or people like that I look up to, and notice a common element, they still have childlike wonder, right? They still wonder how everything works and why it works that way. And so I realized that the most innovative people in the world don't lose that sense of childlike wonder. They're not too busy to wonder how they make glass. And if they
Absolutely.
wonder, then they go look it up. So I was like, I need to emulate this behavior. And the truth is, if you have a business, you do need to focus all day, but not 100%. So the thing you mentioned was I came up with a technique. I just made up the word info smudging to call it something.
But I love it.
And this is what I do to emulate that 5-year-old behavior that people like Wozniak and Steve Jobs had. And so here's the deal. Every day, you can spend your whole day, if you're in healthcare, you can spend your whole day doing healthcare, but you're going to take 10 minutes every day. That's what I do.
Hmm.
10 to 20 minutes. That's it. The whole rest of the day, you can focus. But for 10 or 15 minutes, you're going to go find out how they make glass. The next day, you're going to go find out how they make carpet. The next day, you're going to find out why the sky is blue. So take time every day to learn one new thing that you don't need to know. That's the key to info smudging. I teach myself one new thing that I have no idea why I'm reading it today. Right? I have no idea why I'm never going to make glass. So after the 5-year-old left, by the way, that's the first info sponge I ever did. I said, how did they make glass? So I started researching it, and I'll tell you where it led. It led me to a glass maker in the United States. I reached out to them. They invited me to the Innovation Center, and I wound up getting involved in a project for this upcoming next generation of smart glass. They're windows that are IP addressable and intelligent. The window knows when to judge itself. The window can see things. I was blown away. I would have never found this technology if I had not said, how do they make glass? So, my friend, that's what info sponging is. It's take 10 minutes out of every day and read about one thing, watch a video, talk to a person that you don't actually need to know. And little by little, all those new bits of information will start swimming around in your head and create new ideas that you never would have seen otherwise.
And what about the last thing, Blue Sky Session?
Yeah, I was talking to my own team at the time, our company, about innovation. And I said, guys, let's get to the next level, right? Let's hear some innovative ideas. And I started to notice something. When you ask people to innovate at your company, they look around at everything they're doing at the company to see how they can do the stuff they've always been doing a little better. That's the key. So I read a real story about a guy in the fast food business, and they own hamburger restaurants. And when the boss said, we're just not growing fast because we look like all our competitors, we need to do something different. We need to innovate. So the employees looked internally. I was reading this story. And they're like, well, we can't make French fries any faster because if you heat up the grease more, it ruins the potato.
Right.
Then they said, well, we can't fill up Diet Coke faster because it splatters. So they went back to their boss, said, we looked at our business and we can't think of any innovation, right? And that's the way innovation is normally done. You look at your business. But then I read a story about somebody that what they said was, well, this is what I did. This is what a blue sky is. Once a year, I gather my whole team and a clean whiteboard and a clean slate, and I say to them, if we had to start our company completely over today from nothing, design the company you guys would build, right? And the reason people don't do that is because they say, well, we already have customers. We can't take out that system. We have legacy technology. We have budgets. People put all these constraints in their head that kill creativity. So at a blue sky session, I tell my team, pretend there's no gravity. And what I mean by that is there's no existing customers. There's no existing technology. There's no budgets. Just design the perfect company you would build if you build it today. Because think about it. An old school mortgage company, just picking an example, nobody ever guessed that people would be buying their houses on a cell phone someday. Nobody ever guessed that there'd be an app where you'd buy a car on a cell phone. We didn't anticipate mobile, so our business wasn't designed for it. We didn't anticipate social media, so our business wasn't. I'm just using those as an example. So that's what a blue sky is. Once a year, we get in a room, and I tell my employees to design our business from scratch right now today with no rules. And the thing they design, to be fair, you can't build because you do have budgets and you do have legacy technology. But the ideas that come out when you think with no filters are way more creative than the ideas that are stifled when you start by saying, we just have to fix the French fry machine. There was no French fry machine. How would you get French fries to people today? That's what blue sky is. Just start over. In today's world, no budget, no plan, and let's see the coolest thing you could think of to do. And some of those ideas will be revolutionary.
You're listening to the Dream Big and Think Different podcast with Dr. Sachin Maskey. Be sure to stop by SachinMaskeyMD.com to download a free copy of Dr. Maskey's book.
That's very beautiful concept. I think we all need to know. And I know imagination has no limits.
Right.
And I truly believe that. And I'm thank you for sharing that, Jeff. Next question is we'll talk more about entrepreneurship.
Okay.
And I wanted to hear your how you define entrepreneurship and your journey, your first startup that you did, and the challenges and all those.
Certainly. The because to your point, I kind of have wanted for a while to, I don't like the word entrepreneurship anymore. Not just the fact there's a French word that I can't spell, but uh, when you ask people, when I go around the world and I ask people about entrepreneurship, they only think tech. I don't know how to build apps, they tell me. I said, who said that was entrepreneurship, right? Or I don't know how to build, e-commerce. Entrepreneurs, we need entrepreneurs in medicine, in manufacturing, in agriculture. So entrepreneurship is not tech. Entrepreneurship is an attitude. And it's the attitude of solving problems. This doesn't work. I'm the one who can make it better. It's not just a mindset. It's a skill set, entrepreneurship, right? It's a skill set of taking ideas and then creating teams and plans and executing, actually building the idea into a real product or service, and then creating a company around that to deliver that product or service. So entrepreneurship for me is more about designing the future. So I used to tell people I'd rather call it self-determination instead of entrepreneurship, because what you're really doing is designing your own future and designing a future for everybody else in the industry that you're in or in the country that you live in or whatever. So that's my entrepreneurship definition. For me, as I mentioned earlier, I wanted to go travel and see the world. But I didn't have any money. And my friends kept on saying, Jeff, there's no job that someone's going to pay you to go fly around the world, right? They're like, go back to your cubicle and do engineering.
Yeah.
And they're right. There was not a job where someone was going to pay me to fly around the world. But you know what entrepreneurs do in self-determination? Instead of accepting that there's no job, that the job you wish you had doesn't exist, why don't you just go create that job? That's what entrepreneurs do. That's the designing the future. And I was like, you guys are right. There is no job right now that I can apply for. They're going to pay me to fly around the world. But what if I create that job? And so the way that happened was I quit that engineering job and I was in the airport. I didn't already talk about this, right? About that first.
No, you did not.
Just want to make sure I haven't chatted with you personally before. But anyway, I was unemployed. I was broke because I quit my engineering job. I had no salary anymore. And I was in the airport because I bought an airline ticket to go see, try to get some mentoring help from someone. And back then you had to stand in line to get your boarding pass, your boarding card from a human. You had to check in with a ticket agent.
Yep.
And the line to check in was so long, more than an hour, that I missed my flight. And so for me, that was my moment. I'm 20-something years old. I'm broke. I'm unemployed. I want to travel. I wish I had a job where my job was to travel and I got paid to do it. And all those things came together at one moment, plus my frustration. Remember, I said that entrepreneurship is about the attitude, the mindset of solving problems instead of complaining about it. So when I went home, I was upset, and I said, I'm never going to miss a flight again. And there's got to be a better way to check in. So today, for your listeners, if you go to an airport and you see those kiosks where you walk up and you check yourself in and get a boarding card, those are in airports pretty much all over the world. That was my first invention. I went home, took a blank sheet of paper and pencil, drew a kiosk, and said, I got to figure out a way that people can check themselves in at a flight. So that enabled me, because literally it was my job then. Airports all over the world wanted them. So I actually got paid to fly to a different country all the time because they wanted to see the product and install it in an airport. So I got to start living my dream of flying around the world while being an adult and paying my bills because they were paying me to come to their country because they wanted to buy kiosks. So that's how the self-determined entrepreneurship part works. Decide what job you wish you had, solve a problem in the industry you want to be in, create value for people, and they'll pay you to do the thing you wanted to do anyway. I'm traveling around the world and they're paying me to do it. That's all I ever want.
Yes. That's beautiful. Yeah. I mean, without kiosks, I guess it's hard to live now. We're going to airport. Thank you. Thank you for your invention. And I want to talk about your book a little bit. I have not personally read the book, but I would love to. It's the book called Scale. And I think I was listening to one of the video again, 7 principles to grow your company. If you want to touch, like briefly, what are those?
Yeah, we didn't go through all of them, but Scale is a how-to guide that myself and my co-author, David Finkel, wrote to answer this question, because here's what we kept hearing. Business owners, entrepreneurs would say, hey, I'm stuck. So what do you mean stuck? And they said, well, we grew, $100,000 a year to 500 to $1 million to 2 million to 3 million. And now we've been stuck on 3 million in sales for 3 years. Mm-hmm. And they would say, why am I not growing? Or you could be at 10 trying to go to 50 million or 50 to whatever it was. People kept saying, I've stopped growing and I don't know why I'm not scaling anymore.
Right.
And I was very blessed to be part of multiple companies that scaled significantly. Priceline.com, Booking.com, Ubid.com, all went global and became multi-billion-dollar companies. So what that means is, despite making every mistake you could make, we must have gotten something right? Because we figured something out, because these companies turned into multi-billion-dollar companies. So for me, I was able to go backwards and say, what is the list of the things we did right that worked? What are the things that we were able to scale and really grow our business because we got these things right? So that's what the book Scale is about. And it turned out that there were 7 different areas, but let's just pick a couple of them very briefly.
Sure.
The first, to me, probably most important, is team. You can't scale until you can let go. And you can't let go as a founder, owner, CEO until you could trust and empower people. And you can't trust and empower people until you find people that you look at and you say, wow, she's way smarter than me. So the key to success is not for you as the founder or the boss to put in more hours. It's for you to spend more of your time going out looking for people smarter than you. Yep. It's when you surround yourself with people smarter than you and get out of the way, that your business really starts to grow. Because what people were telling me is, Jeff, I own my own company. I'm working more hours than I ever have, and I'm not growing. And I'm like, exactly, you're the problem. You're the bottleneck. What you need to do is spend time out of the office, hunting down really smart people, bring them in, and get out of their way.
Sure.
So building a team of people that are smarter than you and letting them take parts of the business is one of the 7 areas we talk about. I'll just mention one other one, which is systems and processes. You get so used to doing stuff the way you've always done it. It has to be intentional, and you're so busy that every once in a while you stop, bring the team in, and say, the work we do, make a list of it's a time and motion study. What everybody that works here, what do you do all day? Right? Track a day for me, show you what we do. And then ask this question: can we automate and eliminate part or all of your job? Right? We're not eliminating the person. We're going to give you more important work to do. But are you doing things that could be automated? They couldn't when we started the company, but you just continue to do them that way. And if you don't stop and say, the world's changed, could we automate your job right now? And then processes. It's documenting the way you as a company do everything. So I'll use sales as an example. Most companies have the best salesperson in the company. Well, what you really want to do is clone the best salesperson to bring up all the salespeople that are not as good. And the way you do that is by documenting processes, having your best salesperson make videos that say, here is how I conduct a sale from start to finish. Take a little video trip with me to customer, right?
Right.
So you're turning what you do into systems that someone else could onboard.
Sure.
They could read it and say, when you bring on a new salesperson, say, watch these 6 videos from Paul. He's the best salesperson we ever had. And Paul is going to show you how he sells our product so that you can be better. So automating, which by the way also includes outsourcing. Sometimes there's things we do. HR is not my product, right? My product was software and kiosks. I'm in the kiosk business. Yet we spend a lot of time and money on HR because it's important. But do we need to, or could we outsource our HR management to a company that manages HR for you so that we can focus on building kiosks, because that's our secret sauce? So those are the kind of questions. What work can we automate, and what work is not really our secret sauce that we can outsource? And how do we capture our processes so when we're onboarding new people, they can learn from the best people in our company? That's another chapter of the book. Thanks for asking about that.
Yes, thank you for sharing those. And I definitely want to read the book, and I encourage everyone to read and learn from the book. And my other favorite question today, I mean, we should have started with this, but the main reason we all do what we do is to give back, because secret of happiness to serve others. I want to know more about that from you, because you've been involved on this, I think, mostly full time, I guess now. That's what
Yeah.
I'm seeing. And I would like to know your beautiful work you've been doing in different part of the world.
Yeah. So that is the most important part of my life and what I do. And, you know, early on, the first time I made money and had success, I actually felt a little bad about it because a lot of the world was struggling and suffering. And, I was kind of on a lucky streak. We had multiple businesses that did really well. And even when I was still 20 something, I made millions of dollars. And even though that wasn't my goal, I started thinking about a lot of people struggle in the world, and I've had more than one success. And it just didn't seem fair. And I felt bad about it until I realized that, that one is that old quote, to who much is given, much is expected, right?
Mhm.
And I realized then that maybe the reason that I was the one receiving those blessings is because I was the one responsible for sharing and doing
Right.
something. And that was life-changing for me, because I realized that as I made money, that, every additional success I had in business was more children or more families who could eat now, who could have a home now, who could get an education now, because I can just go do that. And so that connection between, doing good by doing well became very, very real to me. So the ability, we do all kinds of things from sending kids to college to building homes to feeding people. A lot focuses on education, building schools and paying for kids to go to school and buying books, and all over the world we do this kind of stuff. It just means so much to me because it's the ripple effect. I helped a young man in West Africa start a business. And all he wanted to do, I'll just give you an example of the ripple effect, because that's what's so important to me in giving back. When he reached out to me, he lived in a village in West Africa, in Senegal, where people lived in houses made out of mud and dirt. The roofs were made out of branches. They had no water, no electricity. They just had dirt, right? Not even furniture. They lived in mud huts. And there were 20 families in his village. And he said to me, Jeff, my goal is to provide houses and jobs so they can feed themselves for all 20 families. And I said, how? He said, I have a business idea. If you could teach me how to turn my idea into a company, I can make enough money to feed all 20 families. And then if my company does well, I can hire them all so they have jobs and they can feed themselves. And then if the company's profitable, I could probably build 20 houses, right? And they could pay me back over time. And that's everything. That's a ripple effect. So I started mentoring this young man, and I have been for many years. And today he has 350 employees in 7 African countries, and they all have jobs. But his company builds houses with running water and electricity. And the employees buy a house from the company using payroll deduction, so he even finances the houses. And so all I had to do was teach him. I had to help one person. I had to teach him how to create a successful business, which is the one thing I know how to do. And once I taught him that, 350 families have a better life because we helped one person. So that is the definition of giving back to me. It's not giving things to people. It's teaching them how to help themselves so that they can do it without you. And then that ripple effect continues, right?
Yeah.
They then pass that on. They teach more people. And I couldn't help 350 families. I just helped the person that I believed could help 20 families actually just turn into 350. So giving back is what we were put on this planet to do. It's a servant leadership model. If you're successful, you're not the top of the food chain. You should be the person at the bottom taking care of the people that can't help themselves. That's my fundamental belief.
I mean, that's definitely. There's a website people can go. I think it's World Youth Horizons.
Yes, worldyouthhorizons.com. People can volunteer time. They can donate if they want to send kids to school. But you can reach me there. I have my own website, which is just jeffhoffman.com as well, if people want to say hello.
Sure, definitely. So, Jeff, we're towards the end of our show. Two more questions I have for you.
Right.
And I guess you already answered probably that question, but what is your dream now? Like, I know mostly nonprofit, but is anything else you're dreaming?
It's still around children. My dream is that one of these kids that we help that came from nothing out of the middle of nowhere winds up being one of the people that changes the world. You know, a doctor who finds cures for cancer, a leader who becomes the first minority female president of her country. Whatever it is, we would just like to see some of these youth that we're helping be the ones that actually do change the world. I dream about that all the time when I see people that I work with, especially young people, doing amazing things. That's really my next dream. It's not about me. I don't need anything else. It's about the people we work with rising to new heights and literally making a change in the world.
Sure. Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. And so my last question for today for Jeff would be where people can find you and what is the one thing you want to share today before you leave?
Sure. So again, my email is easy enough. It's just jeff@jeffhoffman.com. On Instagram, I'm Speaker Jeff Hoffman, and on Twitter, I'm just Speaker Jeff. And then I have a website, jeffhoffman.com. So easy to find me. And I'll quote with the question you asked, probably the one thing that I want to leave people with, which is that whatever your dream is, you can't do it alone anyway. So I know people have heard this before, but it's true. The quality of your life is 100% determined by the quality of the people in it. It's not you. It's the people that you surround yourself with and you spend your time with. So focus less on what you're going to do in life and focus more on who you want to do those things with. That's my closing piece of advice.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much for everything you have. We have talked today, your time and your motivation, your inspiration, everything was very, very helpful for myself. And I really appreciate your time. And thank you everyone who is listening or watching. I would really appreciate if you can subscribe the channel or follow or give a 5-star review. Again, thank you, Jeff, for your time. I'm honored from the bottom of my heart and looking forward to meet you in person.
Okay, we'll do a trip to Nepal together sometime.
Sure, sounds good to me. Thanks.
All right, thank you, my friend. Talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon.
Thank you for listening to today's episode of Dream Big and Think Different. We hope you enjoyed it. Please be sure to subscribe to our show so you don't miss any gold nuggets. We would appreciate it if you could rate and leave us a review on iTunes, Spotify, and other platforms. And be sure to stop by SachinMaskeyMD.com to download a free copy of Sachin's book. Until next time.